Right, video, YouTube video, I guess, update video and whatnot, and such. So anyway, yeah, well, there's some news on this tool stuff. So I am looking still for volunteers. I know somebody a while back said they were willing, but I don't want to go back through my PMs and see if you're still willing. But anyway, the basic thing just runs, on your computer, and it'll just do its thing in the background, so you don't really have to do much. You just start it, and it'll just run. And it updates these things here. And the problem is that YouTube is saying I'm making too many requests, so I have to fill in that stupid thing with the typey shit, whatever that is. And it's just sort of a pain in the ass. It went away for quite a while. I mean, I haven't been bothered in a while. And actually, these new ones are kind of efficient. They don't run quite as often. So technically, I'm not even making that many more requests. I'm making less requests. But I'm making requests off channel pages and off, the like pages and that kind of stuff. And so I guess that's what's causing more reaction from YouTube. So anyway, I do have to distribute some of this burden. Anyway, this middle section is going now because it's fundamentally replaced by these two bars here. These two bars have the good guys and the bad guys indexed based on their channel pages. This one, I've also changed the address on this one, so I'll change the tool, and I'll change this. This is the only one that's going to, there's only one that's going to change. I mean, I won't try to explain it all. I'm just trying to make it all kind of universal, so when I add pieces, they'll fit in every one of these things without me having to modify them. So I'm just saying, if you've already indexed this CNG1 or the thing from the tool page, you'll have to kill that bookmark and re-bookmark it because I'm changing the address of that one, the one that indexes my videos. But anyway, whatever. You're not paying attention anyway, so this is whatever. It doesn't matter. So anyway, this one's still got my subscriptions, and this is the like one. And yeah, it is kind of a bummer that my likes don't show up. Like half of them don't show up. I like the video, and it doesn't show up as I like the video, which is YouTube. So that's just kind of irritating. So yeah, I'll just do a quick rundown on my videos here. I guess I just be on the icon and go through here. So there's the what the fuck from last, whatever it was. So this was a gray text. So yeah, I did a lot of gray text videos. So 2 gray text videos there. And I did the comment section, even with the finger, very long finger. Anyway, and then this was. It should be simple. That was just a kind of a discussion of discussing. This really shouldn't be that complicated. And to Candabad, why I'm not an atheist. And yeah, so just to rag on that. Blogger Domain Animal Rights, that was in the last video posted on YouTube. And then I did, this is another gray text video. And then a response video to some of the babbling by Matt. So yeah, I'll respond to a conference report video now, because there's a pretty funny one here. Not funny, but I mean, it's useful for this conversation. There it is. I don't know. So it's all this nihilist crap, like there is no way of knowing, like there is no truth, like we can't figure anything out. And then there's the people who just say, well, it's just all way too much. Human beings always have to not know. We can't ever know anything. Ever. I mean, it's just silly. And they keep. I mean, this is just a simple point to make, right? That the acquisition of knowledge is sort of a linear thing. I guess this way is the way to do it. That it's progressive, and so there's no point in comparing the past to the present. It's like comparing when you're 5 years old to when you're 50 years old. There's no comparison. You're ignorant in one stage and you're much more informed in another stage. And it's just stupid to say because people are at one time 5 years old that they're always dumb. Just not true. And the human race is the same thing. Because it was dumb 1,000 years ago, or even 500 years ago, or even 100 years ago, doesn't mean it's always going to be dumb. I mean, it's just dumb to draw that conclusion. So anyway, should be something else I have to report here. Some other technical issue. Well, anyway, so PM me if you have browser space, if you don't mind. If your computer runs kind of often and you can just run a page in the background. Probably if you have Firefox, that's the only browser I'm using anymore, so I don't even bother testing on anything else. So if you have Firefox, it'll work, probably. But I imagine it should work with Chrome, or I don't know about Internet Explorer. It's just such a pile of crap. You just probably can't even go near that anymore. But anyway, where was I? We should just start over with that one because so many holes in that. Anyway, I thought there was something else I had to report. Damn. Well, maybe I'll remember it and then I'll end the video with what I remembered. Yeah, maybe that's the way to go. Alright, conference reports video. Let's just do the first few minutes. There's enough semantics in here.
Morning, YouTube.
To get through it.
6:30 on a Thursday morning. I just want to pick up on a video I made yesterday about believing and non-believing. And what I was trying to suggest in that is that there's a different kind of ways of looking at the world, different paradigms for how you might look at the world, to do with the importance you place on this term, belief.
Yeah, whatever. They're all terms, they're all words. I mean, we have words like belief, knowledge, information, and then there's this really tricky one, wisdom. And you could almost say that wisdom is the top of the hierarchy. Like, wisdom sort of implies that, yeah, you got it right. Like, it's not that just that you know it's red or that there's bird, but that you know that having, one bird in the hand is better than two in the bush, or whatever there's a wisdom that ties it all together and finalizes it into some sort of statement that says this is really solid. And the rest of it is solid but mushy. The ground can move. But yeah, these are just words to describe what it is to know something. And so he chooses these words, and he chooses words that aren't appropriate, in my opinion. He doesn't choose the accurate way to describe it. He perverts it and distorts it and biases through his use and choice of language by focusing on words like belief rather than understanding.
For some people, belief seems to be very important. It seems to be a rock-solid fact.
Yes, understanding is very important. If you don't understand what you're doing, if you don't understand how the car works, you don't understand how to drive it, well, then you're going to be a very bad driver. That's right. So understanding is very, very important.
And it seems to be the base on which they build their understanding and worldview. And for other people...
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, you see, so there. See that little trick? Somehow belief is what you build understanding out of. It's not the other way around. Understanding, building your belief. You see how the perversions are just so easy? Where you can just take everything, turn it upside down by just changing the order in which you use the words. But clearly, in my opinion, understanding is what foundations belief. If your understanding is belief without reason, faith, well, that's automatically a silly and stupid premise. It's an idiotic understanding. If you understand that to be a legitimate source of belief, then you're stupid. Okay, but if your belief is founded on understanding that's gleaned over 10,000 years of acquiring information, and now you understand that lightning's an electrical discharge created by atoms getting reoriented in the atmosphere and creating a electrical polarity. Well, gee, okay, what's wrong with that? Nothing.
Belief is not that important. Belief is one option amongst a range of different ways of approaching the world.
Yeah, whatever. Approaching the world. So you're not supposed to be an intelligence that's attempting to approach the world by understanding it before you start messing with it. What's the point in sticking your tentacles out and fucking with it if you're not going to understand it first? If that isn't sort of a priority, is to touch it to understand it before you touch it to manipulate it.
Which appear to be sense data and those kind of things. I just want to kind of develop that into thinking about knowledge, because knowledge is a word which it doesn't appear to be as variable as belief. When we use belief, I think most of us would acknowledge that the contents of a person's beliefs can vary wildly. People believe in all kinds of wacky things. And of course, people believe in things which are less wacky, and people might say that they even believe in things that are true, demonstrably so. But that doesn't change the fact that belief is ultimately a state of mind, measurable by something.
Yeah, whatever, a state of mind. Yeah, that's right. Knowledge sticks or it doesn't stick. You either acquire it and place it into the model and its functioning model, it's got logical continuity, or it doesn't. But this state of mind, again, just implying that some sort of all-understanding is some sort of mushy, emotional, vague, ethereal feeling thingy. Ooh, let's just put some more ghost into the mix. No, sorry.
Like certainty. But
you mean confidence. Oh, levels of confidence. You mean beyond a reasonable doubt and, oh, well, it looks like it, but, well, we can't be sure yet. Yeah.
And I don't think many of us would disagree with that. Maybe I'm wrong. But knowledge isn't like that, is it? At least on the surface. When we talk about knowledge, we assume that knowledge has an empirical quality, which...
Yeah, and it does. 7% of the time? 100 years ago, Einstein could give you a physics lecture, and pretty much what he was going to tell you then would be true now. There's a lot of stuff that's still rock solid. Even though physics has done all this theoretical blah, 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 there's still a lot of rock solid stuff in there. And certainly when it comes to biology and anatomy and a lot of things, it's not going to be leg bone connected to the elbow. You know, I mean, we sort of got the idea. We've nailed down some of this stuff. The bones in your inner ear aren't going to evaporate 5 years from now.
Belief doesn't. But I don't think that's the case, actually, because knowledge is always embodied. You know, knowing something.
Oh, this stupid word embodied. They should just go out and just shoot everybody who says this word embodied. What is this? It's embodied. I mean, what? So my computer embodies software. I mean, what is this? What we're going to do? We're going to, more mysticize it, make it sound like it's like a blob and it consumes it and envelops it or some kind of crap like that. No, it affects you. You don't get affected by it. I mean, you don't affect it.
Knowing something always has a knower to it. You know, there's always a person that's standing in relationship to that knowledge.
No, totally irrelevant. Again, this idea that, again, we have to always mush the line. You can't know anything for just knowing it. I can't just know that truck out there is white. Right? No, I have to emotionally have some sort of goddamn fucking experience with the fucking whiteness. I mean, it's just a pile of crap. No, I can know the difference between red, blue, green. I can identify these categories. My brain can put things in the category, and I don't have to have some embodied goddamn mystical experience because I goddamn recognize that something fits in a category. Like jackass.
Knowledge doesn't exist out there in the world. Information might exist out there in the world, you might say, or data might exist, you could say. But
yeah, well, you can say it doesn't exist. I'm going to tell you that, yeah, it does. All we do is reveal the truth. The category, everything's already in it. It already has its properties. It's already categorized in the sense that it has definitive properties. A 4 is a 4, and a 7 is a 7. It belongs in those sets. It is that thing. And you making up your bullshit and saying, no, I'm going to try to make a 7 into a 3. Well, fuck you. All right? It's a 7. Because of its properties, because of what it is. Not because of what you perceive it to be, but because of what it is. And you either accurately identify it or you inaccurately identify it. But there is nothing else.
That only becomes knowledge when it becomes incorporated into a body of thought and into a literal body of flesh.
Oh, what a body of flesh. Again, yeah, flesh mathematics. No, sorry. Flesh blue into green. No, sorry.
But that doesn't make it any less problematic than belief, does it really? Because knowledge, in that sense, knowing is absolutely grounded in psychology as belief is. I mean, no.
Again, see, oh, it's okay. So it's all psychology. We can't have categories. We can't say something weighs less than 100 pounds and something weighs more than 100 pounds and put it into categories. No, somehow that's doubtful because we're having some sort of emotional experience, and our emotional experience makes it impossible for us to build scales and build other instruments to tell us exactly what the goddamn truth is. No, let's just all pretend it's mush. Yeah, that's right, because you're all just running the fuck away from reality.
Well, this because our knowledge changes over time, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Because we're human beings and we evolved. That means we came from lower forms of life in terms of their understanding, intelligence, acquisition. We had to start from the beginning. So in the beginning, you don't know too much. In first grade, you don't know too much. And in second grade, you know a little bit more. In third grade, you know a little bit more. And the more educated you become, the more knowledgeable you become, and the more you can manipulate that knowledge into what might be called wisdom. And some of that stuff, most of that stuff, is likely to be rock solid if you're paying attention to things like the rational disciplines of physics, chemistry, biology, yeah, trying to put things in logically ordered categories, not mushy, emotional, disordered categories of I want.
We change our minds about things. New data comes in, which forces us to reassess what we know.
Right. And when's the last time that happened that mattered? Go ahead, tell me, when was the last big idea change, the big paradigm shift? Oh, yeah, the real obvious one. The one that was lingering around for hundreds of years, but no one could decisively prove until we did the world travel thing and somebody could go to Galapagos and point all this shit out to us. But yeah, I think the last big idea was Darwin. You don't have anything since then. Even quantum mechanics is founded on an interpretation of a fact, not a fact. I mean, the fact that, yes, we can't know the velocity and direction of a subatomic particle because we have no measuring device. We have absolutely no way to measure it without interfering with it because of our limited instrumentality. But, and some people will say, well, that's because it's intrinsic in the particle that we can't know. And then other rational people will say, no, it's intrinsic in the fact that we can't see it. And that there is a mechanism, like all the rest of the cause and effect mechanisms that are around us all over the place, that the same cause and effect mechanisms are happening right inside of there, and we just can't see it because we don't have the pixels. But yeah, how would that even be significant? There is nothing significant in any of this. There's nothing going to change the fact of abiogenesis and 4 billion years of evolution, a psychology built to play a gladiator war. How are you going to undo any of those facts, any of that knowledge, any of that fucking rock-solid understanding? You're not going to undo any of this. It's going to be true a million years from now. If human beings exist a million years from now, the truth of our origin is going to be the goddamn same. And all your wishing it away is not going to wish it away.
And so we change our minds, and our minds then become oriented to a different set of principles that we call knowledge.
Yeah, and like, what is that exactly? I'm just saying, I mean, I acquired a lot of this knowledge when I was 10 years old, and nothing's changed since then. No facts have shown up. We went to the moon, we found out, yeah, okay, we kind of figured it wasn't made out of cheese. We figured it had dust on it. We figured it because it had been hit by meteors. I mean, everything we figured was pretty much the truth. So what would, no surprise there. Where was the big, where's your last big surprise? Show it to me. Show me the last big fact idea change here. The real meaningful one. The one that means something. The one that's not just minutia in detail. Show it to me.
And sometimes that can be quite tricky.
Well, only when you're trying to run away from the truth and find some way to say, I believe in God, without having to say, I believe in God. That's the only thing complicated for you people, is to somehow remake God and remake some sort of preposterous Adam and Eve story and remake your somehow we're on a unicorn ride bullshit. You got to somehow tie all that crap together, and it's absolute crap. But yeah, that's tricky. Yeah, it's tricky if you're trying to lie. Yeah, because the truth just keeps popping up saying, no, I'm here, fuck you.
But it is undoubtedly a psychological state. And if that knowledge is held with sufficient certainty, we might even start making claims that what we know is true.
Yeah, that's right. Confidence. That's right. All the evidence, you add up all the evidence, there's blood on the car, and there's blood on the sidewalk, and there's blood on her cut-off head. Oh, let's see. Let's add up the evidence and say guilty. Yeah, that's right. There's levels of confidence, and I'm telling you, with this truth is well written. In the last 100 years, you're not going to unravel anything. It's all pretty solid. That's why we were able to fly to the moon and back as successfully, is because it's solid information.
And that thing that we hold dear to us as knowledge is true, we might say, is the truth. But that claim is also a psychological claim, isn't it? It's coming...
Well, whatever. So again, now even the idea of reason and balancing it, balancing levels of confidence, even that he's turning into some sort of psychological mush. That there's no theory even behind what does tip scales and what does make something probabilistically understandable. Again, he doesn't want to do the little bit of rational science it takes to take a handful of dice and say, what are your capabilities with this thing? Can this handful of dice, if rolled, fly to the moon? No, it can't. And it can be said confidently, it can't do that.
Out of our understanding, and our understanding is psychological.
Yeah, whatever. There's just nothing to say to this. No, it's not intellectual. It's not filtered and cleansed and purified by logical examination and testing. No, it's just some sort of, I feel like it should be the truth, therefore it's the truth. And you're telling me that's what reasonable people are doing? No, that's not what reasonable people are doing. That's what unreasonable people are doing. So if that's what you're doing, you're unreasonable. You're illogical, you're foolish, and you're idiotic. And that's all I got to say to you.